Hey Divi Nation, welcome to a brand new Divi use case live stream where each week we show you how to add new design and functionality to your Divi websites. But today we have a special live stream on Gutenberg and the new Divi Builder Experience. Let me make sure. All right, so it looks like I didn't have my mic close to me, so hopefully you heard some of that. But I do want to welcome you to a brand new Divi use case live stream. And each week we show you how to add new design and functionality to your Divi websites. But today we have a special one on Gutenberg and the new Divi Builder Experience. I'll be showing you how the new Divi Builder works with WordPress 5.0, aka Gutenberg, and really the best way to get your new Divi Builder experience up and running with Gutenberg. So don't forget to check the video description below for more information, including a link to the blog post that goes along with this use case. Also, I've included some FAQs to kind of help you, and they summarize some of the topics we'll be discussing in this live stream. So let's get started. So let's go ahead and make sure I'm coming in loud and clear. Everyone can hear me. All right. So please feel free to say hello in the comments. I'm interested to know what your experience has been so far. If you have updated to the new WordPress 5.0 and the new Divi Builder experience, and how that's going, and really any questions that you have. This live stream is about how those two are going to work together, some of the awesome new features that are available. So, all right, so we are up and running. I think y'all are hearing me loud and clear, so we can go ahead and get started. All right, so just to kind of give a brief review of the things that we're going to be discussing today. I'm actually going to pull up the blog post here, and this blog post is in our Elegant Themes blog right now, is published this morning, and it just kind of helps go through the things that we're going to be discussing today. And some of the things that we're going to discuss are the importance of installing the latest version of Divi when upgrading to WordPress 5.0. Also, how the Divi Builder works with Gutenberg by default, and some of the confusion that may arise from that, and also how to activate the new Divi Builder on the back end with WordPress 5.0, which is the preferred method. It's really simple. We'll go over that together. Also, how to edit a new page with the new Divi backend builder user interface. And we'll briefly touch on some of those cool features. And also, if you want to use the classic Divi Builder with the new Divi update, you can as well, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, so let's jump into it. First thing we'll want to do is make sure that you have your, Divi 3.18 or above. That would be the latest version of Divi installed, and also the WordPress 5.0 update installed, and that's where I'm working with today. So I have both of those installed now, the new WordPress 5.0 and the new Divi Builder. And once that is in place, let's just go ahead and jump in and create a new page. I know that's really the first thing that we're going to want to do here to check things out. So I'm going to go to Pages, Add New. And you'll see the first thing that pops up by default is this call to action to that is put here by Divi that says build your page on the front end using Divi. You can do that if you click the use the Divi Builder. So what this actually does is deploy the visual builder as you know it on the front end. So there really is no back end editor at all. There's no classic Divi Builder, anything like that on the back end. And the reason is because Gutenberg has disabled the classic editor, the classic WordPress editor, and therefore the classic Divi Builder cannot exist on the back end either. And so by default, you're going to have this pop up and allowing you to go ahead and use the visual builder. So if I click on this one, it will just deploy the, give me the option just like you would if you click the button use the visual builder in the old way of using Divi. So, and then it would just continue on like so. Once you have done that and are editing using this front end builder here, and you go to edit the page, I'm just going to discard. Every time you go to the back end, it's just going to give you an option to go ahead and launch the Divi Builder again, because again, there is no back end classic Divi Builder. And so that's kind of how it functions by default if you don't set up the options, which I'm about to show you, to really take advantage of the new Divi Builder experience. So if there's some confusion about whether or not there is no longer any option on the back end, well, that's false. There is. We just have to set it up in the theme options, which I'm going to cover here in a bit. So I hope that makes sense. This is how it works by default. One thing I did want to mention as far as the updating process goes, it is necessary for you to update to the new Divi Builder when you update to WordPress 5.0. That way it will address all of the compatibility issues that come with Gutenberg and Divi. So make sure to do both of those if you are upgrading to WordPress 5.0. If you aren't, upgrading to WordPress 5.0 and you still want to use or update Divi to the new Divi Builder, you can do so, and you will be able to take advantage of all of the wonderful features on the back end. You just can't update to WordPress 5.0 without updating to Divi, to the new, latest version of Divi. All right, so let me just real quick go over to questions. Thank you, BJ, for chiming in here and helping us out with some of these questions. I know that we probably have a lot. If you're wondering, I really don't think that there is any significance to the order in which you do the two updates, like updating Divi and updating WordPress 5.0. just as long as you make sure that both are updated if you are updating to WordPress 5.0. Question from Marge. How did you get that default Divi CTA? I'm not seeing it. Well, that's probably because you've already enabled it, the new Divi Builder Experience on the theme options, possibly. All right, so again, this is how it works, like by default, if you don't do any of the setup, which is not the preferred method. This is not how it's supposed to function with the new Divi Builder Experience. So with that, I am going to go back. Let's go back to our WordPress dashboard here. All right, so to activate the new Divi Builder on the back end with WordPress 5.0, this is the preferred method. So to do that, it's really simple, actually. All you need to do is go to your WordPress dashboard, navigate to Divi Theme Options, and in the Theme Options, you have this tab called Builder. And then under the Builder there, you want to click, this Advanced tab. And there you'll see these options to enable the latest Divi Builder Experience and enable Classic Editor. So this is self-explanatory. Obviously, if you want to enjoy the new Divi Builder experience, go ahead and enable that. But in order to see that on the back end, you will also need to enable the classic editor. And the reason is classic editor here refers to the WordPress classic page editor that has been replaced with Gutenberg, the block editor. So you'll need to enable the classic editor in order to get Divi on the back end. And so in short, you'll need to enable both of these as the preferred method of getting the new Divi Builder experience up and running. And once those are enabled, go ahead and save changes. Now let's go back to adding a new page. And you'll see a very familiar site here. You'll have the you have the classic WordPress editor backend here with the the sidebar on the right, which is normal, and then you have this button to use the Divi Builder. So I'll just add a new title, and then deploy the deploy the Divi Builder. And then now it's going to, because we have access to the Divi Builder on the back end, it's going to ask me my preferred page creation method here. So let's just, I could choose a pre-made layout. Scroll down. Let's just go ahead and pick this one. And it will, of course, load my pre-made layout. I could start building from scratch if I want. But this is the new Divi Builder experience here with, the classic WordPress editor enabled, which is required. So now you have this set up here. And you'll notice that there are some new features. Like, for example, if I wanted to edit a page, or if I wanted to load if I wanted to build on the front end, you'll notice this button here has changed. It used to be, use the visual builder. Well, technically there is no separate visual builder. This is one builder that is now accessible on the back end and the front end. So this call to action to build on the front end is really doing the same thing as the use the visual builder button did. So if I click on here, let me go ahead and publish this page first. But if I click on the build on the front end here, let's go ahead and click that. You'll see that it loads the builder on the front end, which is basically the visual builder as you are accustomed to using. If I go back to edit the page, I have the same builder on the back end, which is the default in the wireframe mode. So again, all of the visual builder features again are available on the back end because it is the same builder essentially. It's just going to default to this familiar wireframe mode on the back end, which is familiar in the sense that it looks a lot like the classic backend builder, the Divi backend builder, but just with a lot more features. And you'll notice that on this, page editor UI here, you'll have this new row of icons here that allow you to deploy the different view modes. By default, you'll see it is a wireframe view mode up here. But I can also toggle a visual view like a desktop view on the back end here, and you'll see that it kind of expands to give you a more full width view of your page. It hides the sidebar on the back end here, but you can still have access to your WordPress menu here on the left. But it does this nice thing where it just kind of expands everything because you do want to have as much space to view your page as possible when viewing it in desktop mode. And if I scroll down, you can see it continues to have all my backend elements here. And one thing that you will notice, let me go ahead and go back to the top here, is that I can also deploy a tablet view and a smartphone view. And one of the new features that relates to these different view modes, one of the new features that apply to the Divi Builder in general, that's even new to the Visual Builder, is the 100% accuracy that in viewing viewing your pages in these different view modes. So in the past, you may have things may have looked a little different on the builder. For example, when viewing a tablet or a smartphone view, than it actually did on your live site tablet or smartphone view, and that has changed. So now you can have a really accurate view. So if you, for example, I like to use the VW length unit, like for large text headers, setting it to like 5 VW, the text size. That way it spans the full width of your browser, the VW, the viewport width. Well, now you have an accurate rendition of those elements on all on both the tablet and smartphone views as well. If that makes sense, I hope. Which is awesome, and I appreciate that a lot when building my own websites. All right, so let's continue on. So in addition to your view modes here on the top, let's go back to wireframe view. As you can see, this button over here, switch back to standard editor. Don't confuse that with classic Divi Builder. That is not the button to do so. That is, basically going back to using the classic WordPress editor. So basically, that will take you out of using the Divi Builder and risk losing all of the stuff that you built here. So don't click on this thinking that it's going to the classic Divi Builder. The option to deploy the classic Divi Builder is available. If you go to the bottom of your Divi Builder UI here, they have the option down here to switch back to the classic Divi Builder, which is really awesome for those of you who aren't ready to adopt the new Divi Builder experience on the back end. Just click on this button, and if I click on it, you'll see it will revert back to the classic Divi Builder. Now, the classic Divi Builder will not have all of the new features of the new Divi Builder, so be warned about that. And of course, if I scroll back down to that section here with the link, it allows me to switch to the new Divi Builder as well. And for those of you who are new or who are classic Divi Builder users, without going into too much detail, there are a ton of features available to you, but you'll notice that the menu is a little different, but it's compact and it holds everything in one place. For example, the plus icon will load from library pop up here. The save your layout to the library button is here. Portability option here. Your history states to roll back to different points or history states that you have made edits and you want to roll back to certain points. You can do that. You can actually delete or clear your layout there. And here is your page settings, just like before. And also you have this new menu here, which is actually your builder settings. So this may be new for you. It will be new if you are used to using the classic builder, but this kind of allows you to customize your building experience and basically how you use Divi. And it's a really powerful tool. And just to go over a few of these, for example, you can customize the builder settings toolbar. That's the toolbar up here with your view modes. And you can add add these to show up here. So if I clear it out, I'm going to update it. And because I'm not in my desktop view mode, I won't be able to see those changes to my toolbar because these are really visual building elements here. So if I go to desktop view mode, now you can see those new items are available in my toolbar. And these are the options to switch to by default, it'll be hover mode. So I hover over my elements here and it'll pop up my module menu bar here on hover. But if I do click mode, it will kind of give you a highlight of these different elements, which is nice when identifying maybe smaller modules on your page. But now it won't deploy the settings menu until I click on it. And then I can just, it allows me to, target different things a little bit with more purpose. The other one would be grid view, and this kind of pops up everything and shows you how everything is sized and built and positioned with a nice frame with the menus already in place, so I can start editing on anything, which is helpful, for custom layouts and things like that, where it's maybe more difficult to figure out where things are exactly. So that's nice. Let me go back to my wireframe view and go back to my page, my builder settings here. I could also set the default view from wireframe view to desktop, tablet, or phone. I could set my default interaction mode, which was what these are here, these interaction modes of hover, click, and grid. So, and another one that I wanted to maybe point out to you because it might help you with your development speed. For example, build from scratch. The page creation flow is set to give me a choice by default. And that's that kind of pop-up screen that asks you want to build from scratch, you want to build using a pre-made layout, or you want to, duplicate a page or something, or clone a page. Well, you can set it to, always build from scratch and bypass that pop-up screen to kind of speed up the process of getting down and starting building your site. So that's a neat option. Also, you can, disable your group settings into closed toggles option. I don't know if you can see that because my head's in the way, but go ahead and check those out. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the builder settings is a significant new feature to the backend builder here. So you'll want to check that out. Also, like a lot of these features like, multi-select and things like that are really cool on the back end in wireframe mode. So if you're familiar with the visual builder, you may be familiar with multi-select. If I hold command or hold control and then start selecting items, all of these at once, then I can go in and edit them all at once with the new element modal that pops up. I could also select all of them, and move them all at once, which is a cool feature, new feature on the back end. And let's see, like, for example, one thing that might be practical to everyone here is if I wanted to edit a module, I have it set to kind of hug the right sidebar or side of my page there. But if you notice, if I move this around, it hovers over the whole back end of the page, or the whole page editor screen here. So, which is nice, gives you a lot of room to work with. I'm just going to collapse my menu here, but so also you can, you know, make it hug the right side of the screen, and everything kind of fits nicely, which is something that I really like. All right, let me jump over to questions. And it looks like, yes, we have a ton. I have a backlog. Sorry about that. But thank you. I see, you know, Danietta's in there, and we have a lot of help. So thank you guys for chiming in. All right, so we have some questions about Gutenberg in general. Maybe that would be helpful. Let's just go back and see. Let's say we don't want the next. Sorry, I'm reading through some of these questions. I'm going to save this, and let's go back to my theme options here for a moment. And I'm going to go back to my builder and then the advanced tab. And let's see what happens if I disable the classic editor and then save my changes. So just in case you were wondering what happens there. And we're back to the problem of having not having the Divi Builder on the back end. Even though the new Divi Builder is enabled, it will not be accessible on the back end. You will find the new Gutenberg setup here on the back end, which doesn't allow it. So if I go back to my theme options, this is actually, go back to Builder and Advanced Settings. If I enable the Classic Builder, but then I disable the Divi Builder Experience, this will, of course, allow you to use the classic Divi Builder on the back end. So it's another way of doing the same thing that was available on your using that little helpful button to switch back to the classic Divi Builder. So as you can see, there's the classic Divi Builder. And of course, at any time I can come down and switch to the new Divi Builder here. So that's another way of doing the same thing. But again, let's go back to the Divi theme options, Builder, Advanced, and we're going to make sure and enable both for the optimal experience of the new Divi Builder. All right, now I'm going to really jump into these questions. All right, so Manuel asks, does Elegant Themes have one that is better for an intranet? I'm not sure where that question came from, but I am not sure. I think I picked up mid-discussion there. Some of these questions have to do with disabling Gutenberg with plugins. That does bring up a good point. Let me go back to the page here. All right, so this right here, this ability to switch to the classic Divi Builder, and also the option that is found in the theme options there to whether or not you want to use the classic builder, WordPress builder, excuse me, the classic WordPress editor or not. This basically replaces the need for that plugin, that WordPress plugin, that one that was released for the purpose of enabling the classic editor on the back end of basically disabling Gutenberg. That plugin is no longer needed if you have the new Divi Builder update, because it's basically built in. You don't need to have an additional plugin to disable Gutenberg. It does it for you. As long as you click to use the new, back into, going back and forth here. Let me just open in a new window here. If I, this is what I mean. You see this option, Enable Classic Editor. This replaces the need for that plugin. Once I enable it, it's basically the same thing in functionality as using that plugin that disables Gutenberg. Good question. Does the Classic Editor plugin interfere with this Enable Classic Editor in the theme options? Actually, I don't know. That's a good question, Marge. So let's say if I have the Enable, the Divi, or the Classic Editor, and I also have the Classic Editor plugin installed and active, will there be a conflict? I haven't tested that. I don't know. But that is a good question. Maybe someone here can answer that or has answered that. Let's see. I would definitely suggest just disabling that plugin if you're using the new Divi for your website. I think that would be the best case. All right, so good. Sorry for the pause here, but I do want to welcome anyone who is just joining us. I do want to welcome you. This is the Divi Use Case live stream, where each week we show you how to add new design and functionality to your Divi website. Today is a special live stream on Gutenberg and the new Divi Builder Experience. And I'm showing you how the new Divi Builder works with WordPress 5.0 and the best way to get Divi up and running with all the new wonderful features available on the back end. So for more information, you can check the video description for a link to the blog post and for this use case, and also a link, if you don't know, to our 25% off Cyber Monday sale, which is expiring soon. So you'll want to check that out as well. But let's get back to our questions here. Let's see. Uncle Social says he likes the new Divi Builder Experience. So much smoother and faster. Yes, good point. This is a faster Divi Builder, just in general, with the use of cache leveraging and things like that. So that is a good update, very important one. All right. And I know for a lot of you, this change, like any change, is just difficult and sometimes a headache to deal with. But the good news is the new Divi Builder does work smoothly with Gutenberg. So very happy with it. And it even works, or it even has these new updates to the Divi Builder, which make it even better. So hopefully this will kind of calm some of you who are anxious about the updates and answer some of those questions. Yes, it does feel like we have the whole crew here in the chat. So take advantage and ask some of the questions now before we come to a close here. All right. Some questions about the overlapping. Sometimes when you're using, let's say you're building on the back end, and let's say now you're in your desktop view mode, which is basically your visual building experience on the back end. Sometimes you will have a lot of negative margins and customizations to your layouts, maybe overlapping things. If that is the case, one of the great things now is if you, let's say sometimes you have trouble, you know, accessing this little settings icon to pull up the settings to edit something because it's overlapping or whatever, it's positioned over something else. Well, you have two options. One, you can use one of the interactive modes like click mode or grid mode, which will kind of pop up everything at once so you can readily identify what's overlapping and where to find it. And also you can quickly toggle over to the wireframe view mode, which will allow you to access those settings. And for example, let's say I'm having trouble accessing the menu on one of these items. Well, I can click over to wireframe view mode, open up the settings, and then toggle back to my desktop view mode, and my settings mode will still stay popped up. So this speeds up the process a lot. You don't have to go back and forth to the visual builder and back to the back end, things like that. So really happy with that. All right. So we got Mac, Daniela, BJ, and myself. Uncle Social says I just got Full House in Elegant Themes. Bingo. I think this might be the first time this has happened. All right, Nathan, good work on the new interface. I am a true believer. Great. Good to see the positive. I know some of you are really frustrated with Gutenberg release, but hopefully this shows you some positive things about Divi and how it works. So great news. All right. Real quick check on some more questions over here in Facebook. Again, don't forget to check the blog post that kind of gives you a rundown of the things we discuss. Also gives you some questions that I'm going to go over before we leave today, just to kind of recap on some of the important maybe questions you have. Yes, a lot of people are liking the back end. It's very clean. I know for some of you, like myself, the first time you deployed the desktop view mode, it expanded everything. It was very shocking, but awesome at the same time. Okay. All right, so we had a question about how to get back on the page builder like before. I hope I did answer that for you, Suzanne, I believe. And okay, good. Okay, good question from Rudy here. Just wondering, does the builder require WordPress 5.0 or also works with the last version? Yes, the new Divi Builder Experience does work with earlier versions of WordPress or older versions of WordPress. So you do not have to update to WordPress 5.0 to enjoy the new Divi Builder Experience. Great question. I'm glad we cleared that up. Chris asks, when can we expect the WooCommerce update? I wish I could tell you. I do not know. I know we have a lot of updates, a lot of wonderful things we're working on. I know even with this release here, the new Divi Builder with Gutenberg, I know there are a lot of bugs that we're continually working out, as is expected with the release of Gutenberg, and I know a lot of other plugins out there and software and things like that. So we are working through all of the bugs daily and updating, making sure that we have the best experience going forward. But all right, very cool. Charles says, what will be helpful is if this helps make building faster. I do think it will make building things faster. If anything, it just allows you to go back and forth to these more back-end familiar modes and the visual builder modes. That alone is going to speed up a lot. Also, you have all these builder settings that allow you to customize your workflow. So that will speed up the process tons. The ability to set these defaults and how you interact with Divi is huge. The new features in the back end, allowing you to, a lot of the right-click options is something that I didn't go over that are now available on the back end, like extending styles and find and replace, and the new color suggestion options that are available here. For example, now you have, the magic color suggestion option, the ability to view recent colors, saved colors, things like that. There are a ton of new features. So if you're not used to using the Visual Builder, in fact, we're going to be releasing a post soon that covers these features in greater detail. So look forward to that. But you are going to be pleasantly surprised with all of the new features now available. Okay, so let me go through the last kind of questions, just to kind of recap. And you can find this recap on our blog here. Just going to scroll down so you can see it. Let's see. There it is. So just to recap, do you have to update Divi or upgrade to WordPress 5.0? The answer is no. For those of you, if you're not ready, you don't have to. And you can actually use the Divi Builder, the new Divi Builder on older versions of WordPress. So you don't have to upgrade to WordPress 5.0. In what order should I perform the updates? There really isn't a particular order. You just make sure that if you are upgrading to WordPress 5.0, that you also upgrade, to Divi 3.18 or later. That way, it will work out all of the compatibility issues with Gutenberg. How will the new Divi experience work in older versions of WordPress? Well, just like before, except you have all these new features, so it will work. What about bugs? We are actively watching out for any bugs and posting those fixes daily. So that's a good thing. Now that Gutenberg is here, do I have to use the Visual Builder? That answer is no, and technically, well, because now the Visual Builder is not really a separate builder now. It's just one builder that is now accessible on the back end and the front end. So you don't have to use the Visual Builder now with the back end, the new back end editor. You now can edit it with a familiar interface in wireframe view mode. So where is the old familiar classic Divi backend builder? It's still accessible. You can switch back and forth back in the page editor. we've included that in the update. So, and you can also disable the new Divi Builder Experience within theme options. So can I use Gutenberg and Divi Builder at the same time? The answer is no, because they are both page builders essentially. So you'll need to choose one or the other, and we've covered that. It's just going to, give you a call to action to deploy the visual builder if you are using both at the same time. All right. Okay, let's see. One last sweep through questions. I know, let's see, most of them are getting answered by the team here. Thanks you guys. I'm sure you guys will get things worked out. Yes. Good. Shane is updated with no issues. Always good to hear. All right. So I'm gonna close this out. You can continue to ask questions, and of course, you can always post any questions in the blog post comments as well. We'll get to these as soon as we can. Let's see. Oh, that is a good question from Teddy before I leave here. Can you explain new features, creating new posts in the blog? The posts, for example, when you add a new post, I'm assuming, let's see, if I create a new post and use the Divi Builder, the process will be the same here. Uh-oh. Looks like I got into trouble here doing something too fast. Maybe that's a bug. But I'll if it is, we'll discuss it in the comments below. So please feel free to post any comments and questions that you have. All right. Okay, guys, that's all I got for you this week. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe to our blog newsletter, our YouTube channel, and like us on Facebook. And don't forget to check out our 25% off Cyber Monday sale, which is still going on right now and will be expiring soon. Check that out. And our next live stream, the weekly WP Roundup with BJ Keaton, is coming up this Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, so stay tuned for that. And we will be back here next Tuesday with another Divi use case live stream. Thanks again, and we will see you guys soon.